Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learn back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the natal chart of Addison Rae. Some of you may have heard of her. She's a renowned, as you say, renowned TikTok celebrity. She does dance videos on TikTok. She recently gained some even additional recognition because she's going to be cast in that some movie called She's All That. It's going to be a remake, I believe, some like 1999 teen comedy. And I want to talk about some natal placements, transits she has that may be tied into a lot of her general success and prosperity. Now, she's amassed, according to Wikipedia.org, she's amassed like at least 60 million followers, I believe, on TikTok. It almost seems like unfathomable. The TikTok is not, I don't even think that's been out for a while, and I honestly have not even really know fully about this website. It seems like it's designed for people to be dancing on there, mainly because whenever I've seen any videos associated with TikTok, that's what people are doing on it. So I guess presumably that's what it's about. But it's really, I mean, phenomenal to see somebody at such a young age have attained so much success and prosperity in their life. I believe she's worth at least $5 million right now. And again, not to be redundant, but at only 19 years of age to attain this kind of wealth and this kind of celebrity status, it must be very surreal for her, to say the absolute least. Now, there's some things I'm noticing in her chart. Now, this is based on, I think it's like a C rating, though, on Astro.com. It was rectified from like an approximate time. It puts her sun in Libra, moon in Aquarius, and ascendant in Gemini. Obviously, a very airy combination. I'm sure she likely has a very good communication skills and intellectual ability, and has a lot of sociability in her as well. She has the sun. Looking at this and dissecting the sun, moon, and ascendant, having her sun in Libra. I mean, the sun in astrology can be our basic wants, and that could be for her. Perhaps that manifests and tied is doing something with the arts, and something where she's involved in. I mean, arts can include dancing, and also, and she's also going to be, I mean, obviously an actress doing this on in a remake of a movie. And the fact that the moon is in Aquarius, this may be done. This shows that a lot of this is done in collaborative ways. There was something on and through social media, the internet. This was there was something on Wikipedia that stated she was doing something on a collaborative level. I believe it was with TikTok, but you have to confer that and check that out on the internet. And the fact that Gemini is rising, Gemini, the ascendant in astrology, is what's going to flavor that sun and moon energy. And this energy I described with her sun and moon placements, the fact that Gemini is rising may be done with a lot of vivacious, spirited, and animated energy. And the thing about, and might be going through a lot of changes too, whatever she might be doing in these matters connected with her sun in Libra and the moon in Aquarius. There might be some vacillation with it, such as changing, different, maybe some kind of social media, sites, or doing things that a lot of change involving her perhaps work as an actress, and just doing manifold things, maybe I should say, associated with what I described with the sun and moon placements. Now, the thing about her chart as well, I mean, some transits that are standing out to me is that this announcement had come. I saw this on Twitter, and right now transit Mercury is very close to her natal sun, so it's not surprising, and her sun being in the fifth house of entertainment and acting, so it's not surprising that there was some communication on her where she was going to get some, more notoriety, recognition, which could be the sun, and shining basically in something with entertainment, which is the fifth house. Libra can be associated with the arts. Now, another thing that I'm seeing too is that transit moon at this time, very close to her natal North Node. And the North Node in astrology can be about our future, our destiny, and you're talking about the moon. The moon can be associated with the public. Now, and another thing, too, it's something, and it's interesting that the moon in the zodiac sign Cancer can be associated with the past, and this is going to be about a remake of a movie that was out previously from 1999. So, thought that was very interesting. Another thing I noticed in her chart, it appears she has Neptune conjunct her moon, so that in the ninth house of global communications. Moon being in Aquarius, the sign connected with social media, the internet. Neptune conjunct Neptune. Neptune can be associated with dancing. Now, in the ninth house, of course, is something can be global communications. She also has Uranus in Aquarius in that ninth house of global communications, something through the internet, doing something that might be seen as a little bit unorthodox or unique, and against something that is involved globally. She also having Aquarius midheaven could denote a career in television. She may also actually be proficient in doing something, other anything Aquarius related, such as something with aeronautics, astronomy, computers, electronics, even innovation. Now, a thing that I looked at when I see her, when looking at her chart as well. Another thing is that she apparently had gone to school for a short period, a very succinct period, where she had studied some kind of sports broadcasting. What's interesting is that she has Jupiter conjunct her ascendant in Gemini, and Jupiter in astrology can be connected with higher education, and Gemini can be associated with communication, and also Jupiter could be associated with sports. And Gemini is communication, sports, broadcasting. The fact that it's close to her ascendant shows that she could have really, I would say, have a very strong talent for being able to do that. It's something, it's ability she could really project very outwardly, to say the least, considering it is conjunct her ascendant. And people may actually have been able to see that with her in some instances on a first impression. Now, also, Jupiter on the ascendant could actually expand Gemini rising qualities. As I've talked about in previous videos, Jupiter could be rather paradoxical, could be strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. It could expand a lot of the mercurial, vacillating, loquacious, versatile, um, you could say even changeable, uh, eloquent qualities of her Gemini rising that could be expressed very outwardly. A lot of animated, spirited energy that could be expressed very outwardly, since we are talking about the ascendant, and also even dexterous qualities. It wouldn't surprise me if she actually has some ability to do things like that involve a strong use of the hands, such as working on motor vehicles, for example, auto, refrigeration mechanics. She also has, having a Mercury in Scorpio in the sixth house, tells me that Mercury is associated with the hands, and Scorpio can be problem solving, and Scorpio can be associated with things such as mechanical skill. Uh, and having Scorpio on the sixth house cusp tells me that she could actually do, that she likely could have a propensity for that kind of work, because the sixth house could be associated with work. Scorpio can be about things that are mechanical. And a thing too is, when I look at, there's something that I noticed when I looked at her chart. Well, she does have transit Neptune in the 10th house, so it's not surprising that dancing has given her a lot of notoriety and recognition. But another thing is that she does have a little bit of a worrisome configuration. She has a mutable T-square configuration, which involves the Jupiter conjunct Gemini ascendant, opposing Pluto and Sagittarius, in both those points being squared by Mars and Virgo in the fourth house, which is, of course, the focal point of the T-square configuration. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that. I'm back. The thing about it is when you're talking about mutable T-squares in astrology, just by themselves, just as a general description of it, can give a lot of anxiety, worrisome, restless energy. There's a lot of could be a lot of changing winds and of mind, a lot of vacillation. And the thing about this is the Gemini, the first thing when you break down a T-square configuration, you look at the opposition. And the opposition is this, this tug of war, basically. And when you look at the focal point of the configuration, that is that point of the overemphasis, over-accentuation, compensation, which is where we're trying to reconcile the energy of the opposition. Now, having Gemini rising opposing her Pluto in Sagittarius in the 6th house, but conjunct her 7th house, what that really tells me, and having Jupiter on the ascendant could expand that want for that, the self-interest. The thing about it is what this opposition tells me is that there's really like a perpetual tug of war between her own interest, which could be Gemini related, or self-interest for personal gratification, going against people that are in power, powerful people, and also maybe even obsessing in relationships, the ones that you could say, Sagittarius, that are global, the people that are in power also that have some global renown, lack of better words. I don't know if that really makes much sense, but you understand what I'm saying. Sagittarius could be associated with what's global, and those are things, that could be associated with her fans. The 7th house is others. Pluto does conjunct her 7th house, even though it's in the 6th house. It's in the 6th house of work and employment. The way I look at it, having the Mars in Virgo in that 4th house as that midpoint, basically, it's the focal point of the T-square configuration. What that tells me is there could be a lot of energy into maybe doing something with physical fitness, staying fit, being healthy, nutrition-related matters in the home, being able to being physically fit, perhaps, and just staying very busy and active in order to reconcile that energy between the ascendant and her, in the Pluto in Sagittarius in the 6th house, conjunct her descendant, her 7th house cusp. By doing so, by all this energy and really all this, I call it workaholic energy, and also energy perhaps into staying fit. It could be she may be starting to work out vigorously. I don't really know what she really does, but it wouldn't surprise me if she's doing things to try to really work a lot of energy into staying healthy in order to try to balance, to work the candle at both ends, so to speak. And another thing too, and I'm not trying to be overly negative or derogatory, but there's something, when somebody has Pluto opposing their ascendant, sometimes this could be, she has Pluto conjunct the descendant. That can manifest in having very powerful open adversaries. Pluto, I see, is also being connected with stalkers. She has that opposing her ascendant. And the fact is, that's something to be leery of, especially, you're in a position, you're obviously, she's somebody that has won, certain acclaim and notoriety and recognition or what have you, and also very young. And I'm not to say that she's naive or anything, but she has, at 19 years old, you have not really been out in the world much. So it's something that she needs to be careful of. And the fact that the Mars in Virgo is the focal point of that opposition. It tells me at some point in time she might be burning a lot of energy into really working, really like, taking a lot of action by being very systematic, methodical, much attention to detail in doing things as far as protection goes, given that this is in the fourth house for safety and security in her home, perhaps. And when you're somebody that has attained that much fame and you have like I'm sure it's over 60 million followers on TikTok, I believe, she's going to have people as well that are going to have animosity toward her, people that are jealous. It's going to happen with all people in that have attained certain fame in their life, and regardless of what level it is. Now the thing is, the thing what she needs to do when you're looking at a T-square configuration astrology, the point that's opposite the focal point is the point where you could potentially have some alleviation of that energy. It's not necessarily going to eradicate what is going on with that T-square configuration, but it could be a point of alleviation, and could be ways of dealing with this energy a little bit better. The point of alleviation is Pisces in the 10th house of career. Now, I understand she's doing dancing as far as her career goes, but the way this could manifest is that Pisces energy could be lethargic and very relaxing meditation. It could be that she may need to take a little bit more time out in her, as far as matters with her career goes, and do a little bit more relaxing if she can, as opposed to actually doing. And it tells me when I look at all that mutable energy to Gemini rising, especially that Mars and Virgo, this is a lot of restless energy that I believe she has. She probably has very difficult time being stagnant or still, and it can really, sometimes it can cause some kind of figuratively speaking, a burnout situation. Now, it's really about all I wanted to get at as far as her chart and transits, natal placements that could be that could be tied into her receiving a lot of notoriety and recognition. She's done so at such an early age. Gemini rising could be very precocious, and they could be notorious for seeing the world through adult eyes, so to speak. And for her to do so again, and not to be overly redundant and monotonous, but doing so at 19 years of age is very, very remarkable. I'm sure she'll probably never see this video, but if she has any friends or family members that say it, pass it on. That, yeah, hey, wish her all the best to continue this success and this prosperity. Jupiter on the ascendant, of course, could be a very prosperous placement, to say the absolute least. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learn saying stay well.